So we have a bit of news to get to today, but first, I just want to make mention to the fact that tomorrow, not tomorrow, Saturday, February 18th, is Elimination Chamber and also New Japan's Battle in the Valley. So that means you guys will have two previews on that night. One, of course, being Elimination Chamber, and the other for Battle in the Valley, as we move another step closer on the road to WrestleMania. Which, also, after Elimination Chamber, I should have a better idea of what to expect for WrestleMania. And the predictions for WrestleMania will likely be appearing soon after Elimination Chamber. As I have some ideas of what to expect for WrestleMania, but there's still too many holes, in my opinion, and I think a little bit more will be known once we get a little bit closer to once we get a little bit closer to to WrestleMania, and after Elimination Chamber will give us a little bit better of an idea of what to expect. We also have a crap ton of news on AEW, so I will save that for the next news video. But we got other news to get to, and that includes Cody Rhodes with sharing an interesting bit of information to us. That Cody Rhodes has every intention of putting together his own WrestleMania moment with his weight belt. Basically, Cody Rhodes has the idea to put the name of every independent wrestling promotion on his weight belt for WrestleMania, because that journey through the indies is what made Cody, or gained Cody, the ability to be in this moment at WrestleMania, or have this moment at WrestleMania. And he wants to pay tribute to the smaller independent companies. It is very likely, though, that companies like Ring of Honor or New Japan or AEW will not be featured on the weight belt, because I think that he is more talking about the smaller independent companies like Northeast Wrestling, PWG, companies who worked for in the UK, etc., rather than the idea of Ring of Honor. I mean, Ring of Honor maybe, but more likely he's talking about companies like, the smaller companies that maybe everybody doesn't know about. But that is an interesting thing that I can't wait to see how it looks for WrestleMania. MLW also got a new television contract, as MLW has a TV deal locked up or locked down now in the UK with IOZat TV is a Sky partner. And new episodes of MLW Underground will begin to air in the UK starting on March 6th, which IOZat TV is Sky Channel 191 in the UK. If you are a UK-based wrestling fan looking for more wrestling content, then MLW will be expanding to the UK starting on March 6th. And that is great news for MLW, as the continued expansion from one of American wrestling's best kept secrets continues to expand and continues to grow with expansion to the United Kingdom. Also, a bit of news on Nick Aldis, as Nick Aldis went on record to say, "I just want to be free and clear of any commitments for a minute, and then see what happens." I've had a couple of different phone calls with a couple of different people in places. What if we did this? Maybe that for now, that's what I'd want it to be. I'm happy to keep doing that. I've had a couple of irons in the fire, and for me, that's what I'm happy doing. I like the approach. I like approaching the business like guys used to. Matt Cardona is doing that. he's working a program in this territory and working over and works the thing here there and works a thing over here. That's intriguing to me. Ultimately, I'm very confident that I can deliver, and I'm waiting for the right option, not necessarily the first option. Wrestling at this point isn't my only occupation. I'm also a small business owner. Any small business owner will tell you that that's a full-time job. It's not like I'm putting wrestling on the back burner. I'm trying to build and scale a business, and that takes a lot of mental resources. Aldis is also Aldis has wrestled for House of Glory, Glory Pro, and Dreamwave in recent months, and is also set to be a part of a joint event with Oceania Pro Wrestling and Starcast in late 2023. Since late last year, Nick Aldis has been a free agent, and in my opinion, he's one of the more untalked about free agents because he would bring a lot to a company. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about with Nick Aldis, but the fact of the matter is, it just seems like Nick Aldis is most definitely willing to just sit back and wait for right now, and not jump at the first opportunity because he has other things going on. I, for one, am still a big fan of Nick Aldis. I admire the fact that he walked away from the NWA after spending as much time as he did helping build the brand. But at the same time, I don't agree with how he walked away. I understand why he did, but I don't agree with how he did it. If that makes sense. And, you know, I would love to see maybe Nick in TNA again, Impact Wrestling again. I would love to see Nick go All Elite. I think more than likely he would go to Impact Wrestling than All Elite because he would not want to be a small fish in a big pond. But that's just me. I think Nick Aldis has, like I said, I think Nick Aldis still has a lot to give to a company wherever he goes. Maybe even WWE. To cover some other news from AEW, number one, Mark Briscoe officially signed with All Elite Wrestling. As of last night, Mark Briscoe is officially a member of the AEW roster and Ring of Honor roster. And also, a little bit more information has been known about the upcoming Ring of Honor tapings, as Ring of Honor will have their first set of tapings in Orlando, Florida, at the same place where AEW already tapes Dark and Elevation. But the taping will take place on February 25th and February 26th, and I believe, if I remember correctly, the first set of tapings will be set to air, I believe, on March 2nd. It's either March 2nd or March 6th. I think it's March 2nd. I could be wrong, but it will likely carry them to Supercard of Honor later this year. And also, as it was mentioned yesterday, the Honor Club, it is $9.99 a month for the subscription service, and you do not only get Ring of Honor's weekly television show, but you also will get the tape library of Ring of Honor, which means matches from the likes of Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, footage from Eddie Guerrero's time on the Indies when he worked for Ring of Honor on Ring of Honor's first television show. First ever show back in 2002. Low Key. Classics with the Kings of Wrestling. And the Briscoes, the American Wolves, and so many others that have have had presence in Ring of Honor over the last 20 years. All that and more for $9.99 a month on Honor Club. And no, that is not an ad. I am debating whether or not I want to talk about CM Punk in this video or not. I think I'm going to save it for the next one. But basically CM Punk is you know what? We'll get to it in this one. Basically, CM Punk is teasing a return, and I don't know if Punk is teasing a return, but he did mention on a recent Instagram story about not having to like people to be able to work together, and not necessarily mending fences, but doing enough to move forward. And that with the mention of CM Punk, with the mention of the best in the world in last night's episode, and repeated mentions of the best in the world on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, it has led many to wonder if, with the Instagram story in place, and with the Instagram story in mind, and Punk's history with, and the mention of the best in the world, which is a nickname synonymous with CM Punk, and also just the fact that Punk is still under contract with AEW, it has led many to wonder, is Punk coming back? I think if I was Tony Khan, I would at least try and mend the fences and see if they'd be willing to talk to each other and be willing to work together. Because I think also if AEW is able to get Punk back, even for a short-term deal, it would give AEW the opportunity to re-sign FTR, because it would give FTR the opportunity to work with Punk in trios, and give us the dream match we all want, FTR and Punk against the Elite. But I think that's something that we have to keep our eyes on and wonder, what if, over the next couple of months. But as I mentioned, we got a lot of AEW news to get to, so let's jump ahead and get to the next news video. So I will see you then.